Palumbo here with an RX Muscle news update. The IFBB Texas Pro Men's Open Finals are complete. And as we predicted after the prejudging, Andrew jacked that lineup real well because he took home this victory and really wowed the crowd. I think he wowed the fans who were watching from home, and I think he established himself as a guy who is a serious threat to the top of the IFBB Open class at both the Olympia level and below that. I think that he's a guy that these other competitors be very, very worried about. He's someone who, as he improves, will start knocking off big names in this sport because he's got thickness, he's got muscle density, he's got separation in his muscles that remind me of Kai Green, especially those quads when he locks them down. And he has got room to grow still and improve. He's only had 3 competitions. Three total competitions. And he's already won a pro show. He's going to the Mr. Olympia competition in December. And he's at a stage in his career now where he will make improvements from now till then. A lot of other guys are going to kind of maintain what they got. This guy, I'm telling you, Andrew will gain muscle from now till then. You will see a better Andrew Jack. The one thing he's got to make sure of is that he brings perfect conditioning. That's the only thing I would say, the only little vulnerability I think that he has is that he still hasn't, gotten super dry, freaky conditioning. But he will. And when he does, and think Ronnie Coleman, when Ronnie Coleman was in his early days, he didn't have that freaky conditioning either, but then he got it, and no one could beat him. I don't know if he'll be another Ronnie Coleman. I'm just saying he's a very scary competitor in the sense that he's got unlimited tap potential, and he's this good this early on. So my hat's off to him. Congratulations on your first pro win, your qualification for the Olympia stage. Now, placing second, this was a surprise. Maybe not a surprise to too many people, but I thought Steve Koklow was gonna fit into that second position, and the judges really rewarded Martin Fitzwater, as he calls himself, the Martian. And for good reason. He looks like he's from another planet. This guy has got massive legs. He's got freaky body parts. He's got really good conditioning. He might have had the best conditioning on stage all night. And, he could knock off taller guys because of the fact that he packs so much mass on that frame. He's got Olympia level muscle on his body. And even though he hasn't, quote, arrived yet, he will. Think Branch Warren, think guys like who packed massive amounts of muscle onto a smaller frame and were able to knock off a lot of taller, bigger, supposedly genetically superior bodybuilders. He's going to do a lot of damage, this guy, if he continues to improve and doesn't have any injuries. I think the judges made a right decision. I looked at him at night. He definitely looked better at night at the finals. He deserved the second place. My hat's off to him. I think Steve Koklow left that door open when he just came in really hard and conditioned, but he looked a little smaller. I mentioned this after the prejudging wrap-up, and I think that his leg size was down a little bit. Maybe his back was a little deflated. Even though he had more detail, I think a guy like Martin Fitzwater just exploited that, and he's so full and he's so complete that he looked more impressive at the end of the day, especially at the finals. So the judges rewarded Fitzwater over Koklow. But, Koklow's got to be happy. I think he really, did what he had to do in terms of conditioning. I think the key for him now is, and he's early enough in the season where it's not the last qualifier of the year like he tried to do last year, he could hit a few more shows now and improve and fill out and get better. So we will see Steve Koklow on an Olympia stage. I know Steve Koklow, and I know that he wants to go to that Olympia. He will do what it takes, whether he's got to accumulate points or he finds a show he can win. He'll be on that Olympia stage this year. He's tenacious. He's not giving up anytime soon. This was a great lineup. There's no shame in losing, to a guy like Andrew Jack. He is just off the charts. Reminds me of when we saw Big Ramy back in 2013 when he debuted at the New York Pro. Fourth place, Kamal Agagdi cannot be upset with fourth place here. These guys are so much taller than him and outweigh him by so much that it's a miracle that he was able to. It just goes to show you how good Kamal Agagdi is, that he's able to stand with guys who are taller than him and outweigh him by 30, 40 pounds, some of these guys, and still look like you could potentially say, hey, this guy could win this show. No one's gonna. There was nothing that was that Kamal was missing. He was not incomplete in any way whatsoever. His conditioning was perfect. He couldn't have done anything better. But he's proving that a 212 guy can stand with the best in the open class and still place top 5. That's pretty amazing. I take my hat off to Kamal for doing that. He didn't need to do it. He's a former Mr. Olympia at 212. He could just show up at the Olympia every year and win. But this guy at 51 years old is still out there competing more than the young guys are competing. And he's having a great time doing it. You can tell. You can see that smile on his face. So, I love Kamal. He's a great guy. He's a great ambassador to the sport. He's a great leader and teacher. And he loves to train. And I know he trains at Nick Walker now in Tampa. And he's going to make Nick Walker better. And Nick Walker is going to make him better. And watch out for these two guys come Olympia time. 5th place, Quintoneria. I said it all at the pre-judge. This guy is, got future champion written all over him. He's been little by little adding muscle every single year. Actually, not even little by little. He's been adding tons of muscle every year, but he's got such a big frame, it's going to take him probably, like I said, another 2 years or so to really fill that out. But once he does, watch out. He won't be placing 5th and 4th place anymore. He'll be placing 1st place at any show he puts his mind to and comes in at his best. The problem is he doesn't have enough muscle right now, so he's trying to come in fuller to give his body appearance of more volume. The problem is when you do that, you sacrifice some conditioning. He needs to put that muscle mass on, bring in the conditioning that we've seen him come in with, shredded to the bone, with that muscle fullness, not just artificially inflated water fullness. And when he does that, lights out for it. He's going to beat a lot of guys. So we're seeing a foreshadowing in this lineup, even though we have Kamal, who's a veteran in this lineup. The other guys are all young, upcoming guys that are going to do a lot of damage in the IFBB open class in the future. And this was a nice little, hopefully I'll remember him. I won't be going senile anytime soon. I'll remember back to this Texas Pro show where we saw these guys debut their talents. Andrew Jack did his first pro show and won it. And usually I always remember the first big show. Like I remember Ramey's 2013 New York Pro victory. Andrew Jack's 2022 IFBB Texas Pro Men's Open champion. Congratulations. You're going to the Olympia. I'm Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle news update. Stay tuned tomorrow night for our full report with Chris Aceto on the IFBB Texas Pro on Heavy Muscle Radio live at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard.